Hello again and welcome everyone to Holiday Crunch Time. The next 5 weeks we're going to be doing some holiday related projects together on this channel. This week I'm going to show you a few different ways you can design some holiday envelopes for any of the cards or letters you're sending out this year. Now unfortunately my actual supplies that I ordered for my own holiday cards did not come in time for this video, so I'm going to be changing my original plans a bit. First of all, I do have some plain white envelopes that I have left over from some other projects that I'm going to be using to demonstrate these designs. I originally planned on going over how to letter your own mailing addresses on the envelopes in this video as well, but I'm going to push that part into next week's video when I have all my supplies and I'm more prepared to do so. So this week I'm just going to do a sample of some of my envelope designs that I plan to use on my actual cards, and I should have the supplies in by next week to show you the final designs a little better and to follow up with a tutorial on writing the addresses on the cards as well. Alright, let's get started on the envelopes then. So again, I have ordered envelopes for my actual Christmas cards. I was hoping it would be here in time for the video, but it isn't. So I have these extra envelopes that I'm going to use that I've had from other cards that I had. So this will give you an idea of what I'm going to do for my Christmas cards. Again, you're welcome to use these ideas and copy them, put your own little flair on them, that's fine. Also, I want to say, as far as being extra and doing, like, going above and beyond and doing this kind of stuff, you know, it's up to you ultimately if you want to be extra like this and do this. The way I look at it is, especially for Christmas or for like a big thing, obviously your wedding or Christmas or holidays or birthdays, and you want to send something to someone, I like, you know, giving someone the full experience, you know, like making it kind of special. I like putting that personal touch on it, personally. I know it's a lot of work. I do spend a lot of time on it every year, and like I said before, I'm being more extra this year than I usually am. So, but I did want to say, I did do my own mailing envelopes for my wedding, and I kind of mentioned this in another video, and I'm going to be talking more about this in a later video, because I'm going to be redoing some of the stuff I did for my wedding. You know, I wasn't exactly anywhere near professional level at that point. I mean, I just started learning calligraphy and lettering and doing all this stuff, so I wanted to do them, and they turned out okay. They're pretty good. But, you know, I took the time to like write them all out myself. I know a lot of people nowadays will either have them printed, have someone else do it, or they like using like a Cricut to do it, like a Cricut machine. I have 2 Cricuts. I don't use them for that. I don't want to. There's so many things that go wrong, you know. To me, it's like extra work to use the Cricut than it is to actually letter them yourselves. Once you learn how to do it, I know it seems intimidating. However, what was I getting to? Oh, I know. As far as my wedding invitations went and the mailing envelopes and everything, even though I didn't think I did that great of a job on them, like I was very beginner at that point, I had several people come up to me, them bringing up the story, not me asking or anything, saying, I still have your invitation, it's beautiful, I can't throw it out, you know? And I'm like, I didn't think it was that great, but okay. I'm glad you like it. So it kind of also helps me, like, there are people who actually do appreciate it, like you doing all this work, you know, and I'm not saying everyone has to keep them. I'm of the mindset of, you know, you spend a lot of time on something, you give someone something, and it's up to them what they do with it. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people throw out the invitations. That's just how it goes. I'm not expecting people to hoard them forever, but some people do, I guess, is my point. But, like, it kind of, when the person got it, you know, it's like this special personal touch that people appreciate. Some people appreciate. And it's, you know, I'm trying to extend it, like, that's my gift, you know, especially for the holidays, like, talking about holiday cards, like that is, you know, my special little holiday cheer that I'm sending to you. And it doesn't always work that way. It depends on the person and how they receive it. But, you know, most of the people I send cards to, I think, appreciate them. So, I don't know. But, again, I like being extra. Whether they keep them forever or not is none of my business. I mean, that's up to them. I'm all about the moment they open it. Anyway, so that's why I'm extra when I do my holiday cards. Alright, got my supplies here for kind of sketching things out. Basically, I got a pencil, an eraser, and a ruler. That's all you need. At least to do this part. So, I'm going to go over a little bit about kind of, and this is based off of the United States Postal Service, you know, their kind of rules for envelopes and stuff like that. So this isn't really going to affect this because it's a white envelope, but I'm going to be doing, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing like the kind of brown craft paper / grocery bag, whatever you want to call it, color envelopes this year for my cards. And one of the rules that USPS says is that you can't use white ink. Well, I was actually planning on using some white ink on my paper, and that's for the mailing address itself. This, obviously, I can't use white ink on here, so that's not going to matter. But that's really the point, is that rule is for using lighter color envelopes and then using white ink on them, because the machine is not going to be able to read that. So you can't use white ink. That's why they say you can't use white ink. But if you have like a darker color envelope, it shouldn't be a problem because the contrast is enough to make it so the machines can read them. We're going to be using black and other colors anyway on this for these examples, but when I do my actual Christmas cards, I might do some in white. We'll see. And I'm going to, once I have those in, I'm going to kind of show you what I did. I'm going to obviously not have everyone's address doxed or anything like that. I'm going to be using fake addresses for these as well. But anyway, I will show you kind of the final result of what I'm doing with mine. Maybe next video. Hopefully they'll be ready by then. They should be. So, just going to go over kind of the design that I'm doing on my envelopes. And I have a couple that I'm rotating through. And same with my cards. I have couple different designs for my cards. So, and some of them kind of go with my cards. As for more rules, again, I'm going to have a more dedicated video to this. Like all the rules and everything you need to know later. As far as envelopes, making your own envelopes, you know, doing lettering on your own envelopes and stuff like that. I'm going to have a whole dedicated video to that. These are just holiday design envelopes, and I'm going to give you some tips along the way. So, one of them is, obviously, first of all, when you're writing on them, make sure that the flap is up top, no matter what shape it is. Make sure the flap is on top when you flip it over and you start writing on it so that it's not upside down. That's my first tip. Another tip is, as far as the face of the envelope, you have kind of things. One, so you need to leave at least, I think they say 5/8 of an inch on the bottom. I usually leave at least an inch on my envelopes to make sure, because you know they go through the machine and they have that like barcode that comes out. Because if you do draw anything down here or anything like that, or if it's a darker envelope, sometimes they'll put a sticker on so they can make the machine, so they can read the barcode. Anyway, you want your design to not hit that. And then obviously, looking at it this way, your stamp is going to go over here. Now if you use several stamps, if you do like vintage stuff or anything like that, or if you're mailing it overseas or have a lot of weight in it or whatever, you need more postage, you know, it's going to take up probably more space, but usually the one stamp takes up, you know, this corner. And so you want your design to not get in that part and this part. Technically, they say your return address is supposed to be in the left corner. It's not exactly true. It's a rule you can kind of break. I normally put mine on the back anyway, unless I'm mailing something like business-wise or something, then I'll do it. But like for cards like this, I will typically send the return address on the back. And the reason that that's really a rule is because if you write it on the back and it's like this, it's as big or like the same size as your mailing address on the front, the machine, because it goes through two ways, can sometimes pick up the return address as the mailing address. So you have to be careful with when you put that there. There are ways around it. I've never had a problem writing it right up here because I usually write it way up on top, so it doesn't really get confused because my mailing address here is usually towards the bottom and this one's usually towards the top. So it's usually not, the machine usually doesn't have a problem with it that way. But that's really the rule why they say that you can't have your return address back here. Again, I've never had a problem with it. So, but there's a couple different ways you can kind of do that. Like you can get yourself a stamp where it's kind of a circle, or you can make a stamp, or you can have it printed. You can, do it in one line down here, like on the flap, or like if you have the triangular kind of shape here, you can do it along that flap if you want. Again, I've never had a problem writing it just like this, which is what I do. So I think that's all you need to know as far as holiday envelopes. Again, I'm going to have a more dedicated video to all of this later, next year sometime. We're going to start out real simple. This is an envelope with an inch margin around the entire thing. Can you see it? So that's basically what I'm going to use for all of these. There's going to be a little bit of wiggle room here with the rest of them, but first of all, if you're making this without a design on it at all, I should probably talk about that. Few things you can do to help you. Now, these are white envelopes, so I could have technically, or a lighter color envelope, where you can see light through them. You can use a light pad or a light box or whatever you want to call it. There's different brands and stuff. I actually have some, I just don't have them over here, and I'm not going to use it today. But if you want to make yourself like a little template for you to write on, so that you can see it through the envelope, so once light shines through it, that way you don't have to really make any guidelines on the envelope itself. But you'll see through it, and then you can kind of trace or use the guidelines to make your own lettering, which is something you can do with white envelopes. Another method, and this especially works great if you don't have a light envelope. Oh, here it is. I have a little level, laser level, that you can use to keep a line on the paper like that. Now, obviously you want to make sure it's exactly parallel and straight and everything. Also, another tip, I'm right-handed, so if I was trying to use this, I wouldn't be able to see the actual, it wouldn't help me. So I need to have it on the opposite side. So if you're left-handed, you want it on the right side. If you're right-handed, you want it on the left side. And you're covering up a little bit of it, as you can see, but it's not the part that you're actually using to write. So opposite hand, or opposite side from the hand that you used to write with. So if you're going to use that, I might use this for some of the designs, and when I do the lettering later, I don't need it really for the design so much. But that is an option, especially if you're using a dark colored envelope, because you're not going to be able to see through that. And another option is, as I'm making guidelines on the envelope itself, when we get to the lettering, I might just do the laser level instead and not the actual guidelines, but you can do that if you want. Again, just make sure that it's easy to erase. Like, I made my lines light, and I'm very fond of this type of eraser personally. Works pretty well. I got a whole stack of them. But anyway, you can see it erases pretty well. And again, I try to keep the lines light, so just in case I don't want anything showing through. Now, starting simply with design-wise, I am going to, let's see, I have couple different options. So it's up to you what kind of like pen or marker you want to use. I have some Sharpies here, some fine Sharpies. I have some Tombows dual brush. Is that their Tombow dual brush? I forget what they're called. I think that's what it is. So they have a bullet tip on one end and a brush tip on the other. And I use these for lettering a lot, brush lettering. As far as the design, I'm probably not, well, depends on what part of the design I'm doing. I'm gonna probably use the bullet tip if I use these at all. I'm not sure if I want to use these or if I want to use the Sharpies. I also have some microns here, probably gonna use for lettering. I have different sizes. These are Tombows. But these are all monoline. Well, actually I do have some brushes as well, but most of them are monoline brushes here, which means no matter how hard you press, it's the same thickness. Whereas if it's a brush tip, it's gonna give you a different thickness no matter how, or depending on how hard you press, which is part of the learning curve of lettering with a tool like this, or even a nib, a flexible nib. You know, depending on how hard you press is gonna make the line a little thicker, and that's how you get the thick lines and the thin lines when you do calligraphy. Just a little tip for you if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So this first one, we're gonna do an offset rectangle off the rectangle that's already here. So you want it to be very slight, very small. I'm gonna do like a 1/4 inch. So that's one version where we have 2 offset rectangles. So that's one rectangle filled in. Now I'm going to do the other one in red. So again, very simple. Now we'll see that again when I actually fill it in with an address, but that's one version. Now we're going to do one very similar to this, slightly different. So let's see what that looks like. So this one, I know I want the red to be inside here like this. Okay. And this time, I'm going to move it down but to the right. So see the difference a little bit? Those are the 2 simple ones, just offset rectangles. I'm gonna finish erasing this one, but so the next simplest one is making, you know, the address into like a tag. So we're going to try to figure out, let's see. All right, so what I did here was I found the middle of this line here, which was this, and And I decided to take 10 from each, 10 of these little blocks here from each side. And now I'm going to connect these two lines here. Even though they're already connected, I'm going to make it a little darker. And then I'm going to try to figure out an angle that makes sense. That makes sense to you. Alright, so I got to find a spot on both of these lines here where I can connect them to that line to make a tag. So basically, it's how steep I want this. Alright, so there you have it. As you can see, I've got a general tag shape here. And I'm going to say like 2, and then the address is going to be here. So, what color do I want to make this? I'm going to do green and red again. I'll do a green tag and then red 2. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay, if I want to put a little hole over here, I'm just going to freehand that. And then, right. Oh, I kind of messed that up. We're going to fix it. But anyway, so that's another one. And the address will go here, like I said. I'll erase all that. And then on the back, I'd probably do like the same thing, but from. And on these, I'd probably do the same thing with the return address as well. Finish erasing this first. Did I show these to you? Probably not. Alright. Okay. Those are the easy ones. Alright, well, I mean, I don't know what the next hardest one is. They're all kind of, they're not that hard, but they're more complicated. So, all right. This one is going to kind of break the rule a little bit about the stamp because I'm going to put something hanging down here. I'm going to put ornaments hanging down actually. So anyway, I'm going to make some strings hanging down, including over here. So this one's going to go a little longer. So the stamp is going to go over it, but it's not a big deal in this case. And then like the longer ones are going to be here, and then these are all going to be shorter because the address is going to go here. So you know what I mean. All right, so I'm just going to, I want them to look like they're hanging. I don't want to do this. 1/2 inch. But then 1 inch apart. It's actually quite a few of them, isn't it? It's not going to be exactly right because this This isn't exactly inches, but that's fine. That'll work. All right. You know what I could use? I could use my laser. Okay. So these strings I want to go down to like here. Let me make sure that this is level. It looks good. Okay. They don't have to be exactly the same, but I would like them to be exactly the same. They're hanging, so the string isn't exactly straight. I mean, it could be, but anyway, there's going to be two bigger ornaments here, longer ones, and then these are all going to be thinner. In fact, it'll get thinner as it goes, so let's do the next string up to here, which that's just that line, so that's pretty easy. Do. This one. And this one I'm just going to do to there. Alright. So, you see the strings hanging down. Now we're just going to make our ornaments. That's that one. Just ornaments hanging down, surrounding the address. And I'll probably make the same thing on the back, like I said. So the next one, this one in particular is easier to do on the craft paper because on a white envelope it's kind of hard, but oh well. Basically I'm going to make like a little snowman over here and then just make snowflakes all around different colors because again I would use white for that. So, but anyway, we can also give them a nose and stuff. Anyway, so a little wintry scene. And then I have one more that I can think of right now, except I have a few more in mind that I might add, and when I do show you the ones that I do, I might show you those as well, but I'm obviously not going to show you sketching them or anything, but alright, anyway, so this is similar to the card I have with the Gingerbread Man on it, where he's kind of peeking around the corner. So he's going to do that on here as well. I need... I might have to use my Tombow for this because the color. Yeah, probably. Alright, so hopefully I don't screw this up. The card looks much better than this does, trust me. So then I'm just going to color him in. He looks a little off, but that's my Gingerbread Man envelope. Like I said, the card looks a little better.
All right, everyone. That is going to do it for this week's video. Stay tuned until the very end. I've got some bonus footage and sneak peeks for you. But first, I want to thank you, yes you, for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you found it to be helpful, use those buttons. If you want to see more, you can follow Shrush Design on social media. The links are all in the description. And if you would like to browse my online shops, I have 2 Etsy shops and a Fiverr account, also listed below. If you are local to southeastern Wisconsin, I have even more services available, so you'll want to check out my website for that information. But wait, there's more! If you happen to be planning a wedding in the near future, I have another YouTube channel called Shrush Design Weddings, through which I discuss all of the choices you'll have while planning your wedding. And I also have another channel called Poised Pencraft, through which I teach the art of lettering, calligraphy, and some graphic design skills if you want to learn how to create your own designs from scratch and make each project truly your own. Links for both of those channels are, you guessed it, in the description. So if you're all subscribed now and ready for next week's video, I'll see you then. For now though, I'll leave you with the bonus footage and sneak peeks. Enjoy! For the bonus footage, I'm just going to show you a Procreate time-lapse video of how I made a few of my own holiday cards this year. And for the sneak peeks, I just want to quickly update you on what I have planned for the rest of the year. I think I have the order finally figured out now. So next week on December 7th, I'm going to do part 2 of these envelope designs where I'm going to show you how they actually look on my envelopes that I have ordered. Plus, I'm going to show you some gift wrapping techniques and how I'm designing my own wrapping paper this year. Then on December 14th, I'll be doing all decor type projects, ornaments, signage, etc. Then December 21st will be all about the murals, and yes, that is plural. I'm doing more than one window. And then on December 28th, I'm going to be doing some more decor and party prep for a Christmas/New Year's Eve party that I'm hosting for my dad's side of the family this year. So as you see, this month is jam-packed with a lot of holiday projects and there's lots to do. So I will see you next week with part 2 of the holiday cards and envelopes and the gift wrapping. Bye!